Welcome to the Freedom Conversation Podcast. I'm here today with my friend Andre Melange. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm happy to be with you, and I have to make you a compliment. You have a very beautiful radio voice.
Oh, thank
I
you.
can imagine 40 years ago, and in a radio station in the United States, it would have been a hit.
Well, you've put me on the spot there.
Of
Now,
course, of course.
no, I actually had a friend, when I was like 20 or something, a friend of mine said, you should do news reporting.
Yes. But
So maybe I
that
do
would have,
have it.
I guess that would have been difficult at the time. An anarchist doing news report, that would have been funny.
Well, I tried to be professional, but, as people know, maybe who watch this, comes and goes, the professionalism. But that's okay. We have serious topics to address, and I'm an amateur, and who gives a shit at the end of the day? You know more about me than our first topic, and we'll get to that in a minute. This is part 2 of a grand series that could take 6 episodes. I'm thinking. We'll see. Who cares? It's going to be a transhuman thing. We're going to pull as many threads as we can. Today's data centers, 6G, and the robot anthropomorphism. We'll see how far we get along on that journey. But first, I want to thank you for coming on my podcast so often, because if you never came, this wouldn't even happen today. I asked a few people, but it's summertime also. People are busy. We were talking before went live about stagnation of viewership of podcasts and abandoning social media, which I've done. And when you abandon social media in society, there seems to be drawbacks. But thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
A pleasure. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Cool. You are an expert today, in fact, on the topic of energy, are you not? Where did you work for the last, 34 years?
Well, I retired in 2014, but I worked 33 years for Hydro-Quebec in many domains, network management, power plant management. I was a manager. I was a business trader. I was a technician, an electrician in a high voltage power station, and for Hydro-Quebec. And I've developed an interest in, the energy sector. After that, I studied a little bit about the oil energy sector, the flow of energy, gas, what they call green energy, which does not exist because there's no such thing as green energy. Everything has an impact, windmill and solar panel, hydrogen, nuclear power. So I've studied a lot the behavior of people toward energy. We were talking of stage, how technology, electricity is part of our day-to-day life. We cannot live without it. And I think it's becoming intrusive quite fast. I think last week we had this topic about, you were mentioning Heidegger or Schopenhauer, how they react to what we call technology. I think we are at the same place, maybe 150 years later.
Yeah, that's a good idea to recap a little. Episode 1 of this. This is episode 2. Episode 1 was very metaphysical. We talked about the philosophy behind the technological revolution that's been going on for many years, and that's what we did. And I think people may have seen it, but I feel like it's going to overlap, especially when we get to like robots later. We'll see, but they will all overlap. It's one big thing. That's why it's a grand meditation, a contemplative discourse on a philosophical or religious subject. We're not going to sit around and meditate. That's a different meaning. So we got to take our time. It's Sunday. Yeah, we'll take our time. Last time, maybe we won't bring this up, but I guess on the subject of rehashing last time, you said something interesting right when we started our last episode, and I just want to ask you more about it. I asked you guys the first question, you and WD. Do you feel there's a grand metamorphosis happening to humans, to society, whatever? And you said yes, and then you mentioned the magnetic poles are changing around and people's consciousness is being affected. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, it's an old idea that man is juggling with for many centuries, if not 1,000 years. Where are we alone in the universe, first of all, and how we are reacting toward our own environment, reality. Since modern science, 18th century Enlightenment, I think that we have changed our perspective with the Copernic system and we are starting to question more the structure of the universe. We have better tools to observe and analyze our environment. So I think we arrive at a point where we can develop many hypotheses or theory, and the shifting of the magnetic pole is not it is not a fantasy. They can measure it. We are we affected by it? Of course we are, because look at birds. Goose, how they have sonar system. They with their sound, the scream that they do. So it is quite fascinating to observe nature, because nature gives us a lot of insight of how to observe, and what are the tools that we can create to understand our reality. Does that have an effect on consciousness? I think so. Maybe we'll talk later about when we will talk about data center and robot. And today, neurologic implants are not science fiction anymore. In his book Logos Rising, Michael Jones is referring to Maria Shelley and Frankenstein. And he's talking about the fact that, Dr. Frankenstein wants to create a man with, part of dead bodies. And we have passed this time now. We are at a point where technology is even inside of us, not only physically, but philosophically and psychologically too. We are affected by it. And psychological manipulation, we know this. But next step, I think, and we will talk about it later, I think transhumanism, how we will compose or how we will cohabit with robots. If we have to.
Oh, dude. I've done a little research. Why not? I've been into data centers and robots and some of these things for today. Oh my God. It's worse than I thought. So let's talk about data centers. I have a short video. Oops, not that. Oh, I will get the video ready while I show you this article that I meant to show later in the broadcast. But hey, check this out. Google asks permission to release 32 million mosquitoes in California and Florida. This is hot. This is hot off the press. What is Google? Don't they make internet? What are they doing with mosquitoes?
Well,
Do you have any idea about this?
The public side of Google is very funny. The dark side is much more worrying. And the mosquito, genetically modified organism mosquitoes, it's not new. It's an idea that was promoted in 2018. So it's been practically 8 years from now. Now I'm surprised they're asking permission. On one side, they want to reduce the risk of dengue and malaria. And on the other side, they are modifying ticks, genetically modifying ticks, so people will be allergic to meat if they're bite by them.
A lot of people talking about that. I'm in tick. I'm in the ticks right now. Out here. Wow, people are freaking out about the ticks.
Well, you induce fear in people. You induce fear first thing. The second thing is you cannot trust them. That's true. That's, on one side they say something, they want to improve your life, they want to make you live 100 years old, and on the other side they want to euthanize you because you're consuming too much resources.
That's going to come up on later episodes of this, when we talk about psychiatry, medical stuff, medical implants, vaccines, and etc. And oh my goodness. But first, I found that short video. This is just for fun. Here we go. So this is just a data center with a little music behind it. Just short. I'll turn on the music. That's the famous Darth Vader Death March. That's the music that came to mind. That's the music that came to mind when I looked at that photo. Look at this fucking thing. So they're everywhere. Andre, what's going on? What's going on with this? They want thousands across the land. What are you kidding? What are they doing with this?
Well, it's the next step toward totalitarianism, and we can maybe not talk about totalitarianism. I think we touched the subject many times, but after the climate hoax, we would all die in 2000. There would be no snow. And after that, it was a pandemic, a pandemic that will kill 7 billion people on the planet, and they just want to terrorize people. And the data center now, you have to recycle. You have to save energy. You have to lower your thermostat because the data center are consuming monstrous amount of energy. And I'll just give you one statistics. In 2021, the total energy that was used for mining Bitcoin at the time, and I'm not talking about data center, worldwide, just the Bitcoin, you have maybe 50, 100 cryptocurrency, was 180 terawatt hour for 1 year. And it's the equivalent of the consumption of electricity in Quebec for 9 million people. You would say it's not that much, but multiply this by 10 or 100 because you have 100 crypto. So you arrive at a point where they will use huge amount of energy and water, noise, electromagnetic effect, and nobody asks, but why you need so much data? Why you need so much data? We can check what is happening in Ukraine, actually, or between Iran and the United States. The war of drones is not a fiction. It uses artificial intelligence in space with satellite, use monstrous amount of data. So the climate change hoax now it's not popular anymore. It's over. Now we need to consume energy like the monster. It reminds me of I wrote 4 fairy tales because I was working at Hydro-Quebec. I wrote 4 fairy tales, and the first one, the title is the terawatt hour. It's a big pylon of electricity, and it's a monster, and it consumes energy, and the king has to sacrifice people so the monster will not attack the kingdom. You know how it is, a fairy tale. You have a monster, you have a king, you have a beautiful princess, you have a knight. Yep. So I made fun of Quebec like this. I made fun of with the monster, which was the terawatt hour. That was 10 years ago I wrote this. And it's quite funny because when you think of it today, the amount of energy that data centers are consuming will just explode in maybe 1 or 2 years. How we will manage this? So the future, the near future is the war of energy.
Mark Carney said AI for all in this grand speech like the other day. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want it. But so here's
AI for all.
Then that got me thinking. AI equity. All the boys and girls of the world should have equal access.
Yes.
To everything, including AI. It's like, what are you talking about?
We were talking about climate change, but the United Nations Sustainable Goal, 17 Sustainable Goal, everybody has to have same thing.
Yeah,
that's communism. That's basic communism.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
With a super hyper elite or over it that will rule everything.
Well, let's take a look do some multimedia, just briefly, just quick look. This is a map of the data center proposal tracker, and on this map here in Pennsylvania, way down, I'll zoom in. The maker of this website has put their own location in here, the little brown house in the middle of the map. That's actually, it even says the website developer's childhood home, surrounded by proposed, although the red is rejected. Red is rejected. Okay, so that's important to consider. Blue is bad. Blue is built. So there's not a lot of blue. But when all of these become blue, someday, look how many. This is just Pennsylvania.
I have a question for you toward this website. Does it only map United States?
Yes, and not every state. Yeah. You can click over here, these states, and in white are the ones that are covered. So it's a grassroots, I guess, kind of thing. And scrolling along the top of the website, you see Blackstone, Amazon, 20 billion. First
That's Energy, a good start. That's a good start.
All the companies, all the money. It's like, what? Okay. So where's the blue one? There's a blue one here, I think.
And
Anyway,
you have a
we can't stay here all
interesting.
day.
You have a ticker at the top, AI adjacent investment, and you can see all the companies. Blackstone, $25 billion.
Yeah, 25 billion.
This is like what?
So under construction.
Amazon, $26 billion, not million, $billion. Homer City redevelopment, 10 billion. Send me. I like this. I like.
This is very detailed. You can zoom in on one. I just picked one randomly that's under construction.
How do those people gather this type of data? Maybe they have a data center to get.
Well, a lot of it's in the public. I think a lot of it's
Yes.
in the public domain, and
You're
probably
right.
on all kinds of Reddit. This is probably some like really savvy. Well, it is a very savvy person. It's on 4,500 megawatts. That's the capacity of this one under construction in Pennsylvania. Is that a lot?
Just to give you a level of comparison, 4,050 megawatt. The city of Montreal is consuming about 10,000 megawatts, so it's half of the city of Montreal.
Wow.
So 800,000 people.
Okay, what about the size of Montreal in acres? The size of this thing?
About 3,000
acres.
1 acre is 42,000 square feet. So you can understand that it's huge. It's in terms of football field, maybe it is 25 football field. I would have to calculate it, but it's huge.
Oh dear.
It's huge.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of those, and they get bigger. So they started up 3 Mile Island. I just found this out in my research the other day. Microsoft has signed a 20-year power purchase agreement. So it was shut down, but they started it up. Unit 1.
3 Mile Island. Wow.
Yeah, they've started it up to generate
restart timeline. Yes, they're supposed to reopen in 2027. It will be fun to see Microsoft deal with the corruption in the nuclear energy sector, because nuclear energy is regulated in the United States, and you cannot restart a nuclear power plant without very hard regulation.
Mm-hmm.
That's why since 3 Mile Island incident, I think it's 1979, there was practically no nuclear development in the United States, and that's brought the boom of gas turbine energy, because they were so afraid of nuclear energy. I don't say they don't do it for military purpose, but for civil purpose, they've stopped the development since 1979 in the United States.
A few more fun facts off the press. 2 days ago, Meta is putting up tents across the U.S. to house AI servers like a scene out of the movie Mad Max. Structures take 3 months to build and use jet engines for power. These makeshift structures are housing hardware.
It is gas turbine.
What in God's name? This is a war-like operation. What?
It looks like a refugee camp.
I know. And that topic's probably going to come up too, whatever they're planning for us. Another quick headline from Canada: supersized data centers. So we get terms like supersized are coming to Canada. One province is at the epicenter. That's Alberta. And it says here, so far Canada has 5 hyperscale now. So we have another great grandiose term, hyperscale data centers, and another 96 in development. So that's local. That's hot news. It's all happening.
Like I said, what type of data? Do we have statistics on the data collection? We have nothing. Nobody's talking about this.
There's a lot of them being built. All across the world.
Yes. During the pandemic, the provincial government, healthcare is a provincial prerogative. The provincial government, the health ministry at the time, or the finance minister at the time, was saying data is a gold mine, and your data will be sold. Healthcare data, everything. You have a smartwatch. It monitors your heartbeat, monitors you 24 hours a day. Don't think that those data, they don't go to a data center. They do. Everything we're saying now goes to a data center. They're monitoring everything.
Yeah, I watch those police body cam videos, like I say sometimes, and we still watch these crimes, like murderers, people who murder their wives or husbands, the crazy shit that goes on. We just can't get enough of that stuff. People are just deranged. Oh my goodness, they are fucking deranged. There's a lot of deranged people. Wow. What was my point? Oh, right. They say, well, we're going to take your cell phone and we're going to do a forensic search. We're going to give it to our tech people. We're going to find out what you've been up to. And they say, then they come back and they talk to the suspect and they say, we see that you've deleted a lot of messages here about the murder that you've done. And they say, nothing's ever deleted. They say that to the criminal. So
yes, of course.
This is where we are, I guess.
Of course, we are spied on 24 hours a day.
Oh.
This is not new.
Well,
Then we can try to escape. Panopticon, yes, the Panopticon, exactly. Yeah, and they see us, we don't see them. Okay. We don't know. We see those big tech, Amazon, Google, but behind that, okay, you have Bezos and Larry Fink with BlackRock. We know those figures. Who's behind?
Yeah, I don't know. It's beyond me. This data center garbage is beyond me. I see no point. In fact, let's go to the philosophers. We need some big brains over here. John Bolger had some thoughts on architecture, maybe back in his day. First thing I will show is the building that came up in, I think it was France. Are you familiar with this building? It's an art something.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm familiar.
What do you know? Centre Pompidou?
Centre Pompidou. It's an art and culture center. It was built during the era of Jacques Chirac, not Jacques Chirac, François Mitterrand was the president of France and the president of the Socialist Party at the time. And you can compare this to what happened in the 20th century with all the architecture, the actual modern architecture or contemporary architecture. There's a very, very interesting conference from an architect, a French architect. I still have the video of it, and he was talking about how modern architecture is totally dehumanizing the environment. The Beaubourg effect. Beaubourg, it's a place where you learn modern art, painting, sculpting, and at the time, Baudrillard was criticizing the Centre Pompidou, and Pompidou was a president of France. And you can look at it. First of all, it's ugly. It's ugly. You have no connection with the human soul, no connection with beauty, no small details. Everything is very, very dystopian. They destroyed Paris with this, and it's not the only one that was built at the time. The name of the architect, if you ever want to listen to him, is David Horbach. And David Horbach, he was talking about this effect. In United States, you have Edward Tufte, who was an advisor of Jimmy Carter at the time. And Tufte he was a graphic designer. I think he's still alive, graphic designer and statistician. And he has beautiful book about contemporary art. There's one sculpture, not one building in the United States. It's called the Duck, and it's a big duck, and it's a man who's carving wood duck to sell. But he said, "I will do something. My building that I will build will be a big duck." It means that the small detail becomes the whole thing, and it is to show the absurdity of the idea of imitating nature. You don't see a duck that size, and you can go on and on about modern architecture, which is, in my opinion, is totally ugly, dehumanizing. And I think Baudrillard was seeing this. I think he wrote this in 1965, so that was what 60 years ago.
Yeah, and he died around when the internet appeared, so he's very modern. He had a lot to say about that, I think.
Yes.
But this is a man who I would get along with. He uses terms like the death of culture, and these are monuments of cultural deterrence. And he describes the center as a black hole or an incinerator that absorbs cultural energy and neutralizes the mass ritual of cultural. Okay. Yeah, yes. He's a very interesting dude, I think.
He is. Baudrillard was seeing what's happening to us today.
Yeah.
He was already.
I wonder what he would think about 6G. We'll try to transition, I guess, out of data centers and into 6G. What are your thoughts on 6G before we get into more?
Well, you remember I sent you a small clip that I found, but I was talking
I can
about.
play it if you want me to, but I can play it.
Yes, but maybe you just made 30 seconds, maybe just so people can understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I got some like actual science stuff. This is some person posting on social media, but
I know her. She's very wise woman.
oh yeah, she's putting it straight.
Launch. But
for me, I gotta look at other sources usually because we're gonna get into the deep darkness of transhumanism right here. I think with 6G.
6G is coming in 2030. That's the public launch. But testing began years ago in controlled zones across Virginia, Osaka, and EU smart grids. And here's what they won't tell you. 6G doesn't connect your phone. It connects you. In 2023, DARPA and ATIS ran a closed pilot across federal buildings in Northern Virginia. The tech? 6G presence nodes, powered by terahertz bands that don't just transfer data, they mirror you. Each user's gait, tone, even heart rhythm became part of the signal loop. The system adjusted light, sound, even push notifications based on real-time biometric drift. It's called adaptive ambient sync, and it's not theory. In the Arlington test zone, over 200 participants unknowingly entered what the internal logs labeled a behavioral sync cluster. Result? 68% changed walking pace within 90 seconds. 52% began mirroring posture. Average voice pitch dropped 12 hertz across the zone without prompt or audio cue. This isn't cellular, it's presence modulation, backed by Samsung's 6G white paper, verified in Hexa-X testbeds, and buried in Appendix 9 of the Defense Communications Futures Report, blackbarred until last quarter.
Oh dear. Thanks. Okay. Well, wow. It's all real. Oh, that's the weird thing. It's real. It appears to be real.
It's all real. What is for me? What is funny is because I know this since many years. I was studying smart meter when they were implemented in Europe, especially in France and in Quebec. Smart meter, there was a big fight about all the effect of smart meter. Not only electromagnetic effect or thermal effect, but how they can influence the brain. This is not new. I was part of an experiment in 1987. We had to wear it's like a magnetic meter because I was working in high voltage power station. We were affected to electric magnetic field, and they wanted to measure it. And I remember at the time, after 1 year, we were wearing this every day because we were going to work. I remember I asked my boss, what about the study? Will we say, oh, they don't talk about this anymore. Suddenly it disappeared. So it's an old idea. It's an old idea. It is not new. When we're talking about the magnetic shift of the pole, we know that we are surrounded by a magnetic field. Wi-Fi, smart wireless phone, smartphone, 3G, third generation of network, 4G, 5G, and they always bring this low, so you will have a better communication experience. You will have better, faster communication. This is not true. Do you see an improvement? No, you don't see an improvement. It is not for us. It is not for us. And in 2020, they started to bring this idea of the Internet of Things. So they treat us like things. If you refer to the quote that you were showing with Baudrillard earlier, we are refined like raw material. They don't care about us, atoms and particles. So the Internet of Bodies, yes.
So that's Forbes magazine. I mean, the COVID and the climate and all this is so blown out of proportion by these same people. So I'm just so hesitant about Forbes as an official source of anything, first of all. But sure, they must be up to something here.
They are.
Something's going on.
When you change your mindset, I did a small triangle and I put at the top the goal, the population. Let's say you put this there, and then you can drill down and see all the effect that has on people without any check and balance and debate. That's maybe the most concerning thing. If we could agree to become transhuman, if we would see the real value of it, but this will not happen. It's not for you and me. It's not for common people.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, I think we were referring to this a couple of months ago in one of your podcasts. You were referring to this island where they have this
Honduras.
Exactly.
Off of Honduras. Yeah.
Can you go there, David? Can I go? No, we cannot. So it's not for us.
With a secret handshake and $1 billion, maybe, and drink some blood. Drink some blood, of course. Oh, absolutely, I believe that one.
So you talk about conspiracy theories. First of all, that they're not conspiracy theory; they are hypotheses. And if you are facing censorship, it means that they have something to hide. They do have something to hide, and we all do.
Yeah.
But up to a certain point, if I have something to hide, I'm an ordinary citizen.
There's a lot of secrecy with the data center build out too, because I have a squeaky chair. Sorry, I meant to get the non-squeaky chair today, but I'll try not to move around. Data centers, they're very secretive about what they're doing because of their. It's like Microsoft competing against Anthropic, and the industry insiders, and they have blue lights, so no one can read what's on all the different servers in there and stuff, and like find out who's housed and who's like I watched influencers take me on tours through data centers, big ones, to prepare for this. And now we're backtracking, but that's okay. Anyway, it's just insane. And when you watch those videos, you're like, what the hell are they doing? It seems absolutely ridiculous, and as we've covered, demoralizing. Because of the architecture footprint of the gosh darn fucking ugly thing.
You were mentioning earlier that you disengage in social media. Sorry, and we don't retreat from society. We take time for meditation, to be in contact with nature. Data centers and all this technology are there to forbid you to be in contact with reality. It's a virtual reality. We've talked about this.
It's like a reminder. Yeah, looking at it, it's like a reminder of like.
I remember. Oh, that was interesting. I was in France in 2006. I was in Marseille, south of France, and there was a big complex of. It was modern art. It was old buildings that were recycled for artists, painters, sculpture, and there was a small exhibition with a very big flat screen TV. Put yourself back 20 years ago. Flat screen TV were starting. And there was a small video that was playing, in circle. It was a tree, and children were in front of the tree, and the video was saying, "We're destroying nature. In about 50 years, people will see trees only through; they will not exist anymore." That was 2006. Now I remember, and now it is quite interesting because they're cutting trees to replace them with artificial. CO2 captation device. They're cutting trees for that. So they're replacing thousands of acres of field with solar panels, which are not effective at all. So it has nothing to do with nature.
This technological revolution is canceling the climate change narrative almost out. Because it's just like they both can't coexist in the human reality unless you're some sort of post-human robot. And as you say, you just change the fucking chip in their head whenever they watch the news.
Last week, you were referring to a word that I like, hubris.
Yeah.
This is what is happening. They, I don't consider the super elite intelligent. Intelligent is, you have to include in the word intelligent, the intelligence of the heart, feelings, emotions, human contact, love, kindness. If you don't have this, you don't have it. In my opinion, you don't have intelligence. Those people don't interest me. The problem is that they are interested in me
Yeah.
either to eliminate me or to control me. Because if you arrive at the point you start to challenge them, they don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Okay, 6G. Well, let's just keep on track here. I mean, let me show this one thing. I don't be sharing the screen all day, but it's important. I mean, I can't pontificate on this garbage. I don't understand it. So this is just a gigantic. I'll scroll to the top in a minute, but this down in here, 3.3, the Internet of Bio-Nano Things, the architecture that allows nanobots inside the body to communicate with the 6G network outside is known as IOBNT. It is a hybrid network that connects the biochemical biology and electromagnetic 6G domains. So that came straight out of like I'm going to scroll to the top. Yeah, like a LinkedIn scientific thing.
Yes,
Biodigital interface.
of course.
This is nonsense.
It's in plain sight. We can see it. We can. They don't hide it.
These are sick
They
people.
just don't hide it.
These are sick. The people are just sick.
Well,
I mean, what can you say?
I refer again to this word, hubris.
Like,
There's no limit. There's no limit. There's no limit. No ethics, no moral. And
meanwhile, and like give us poison food, all this cropping of this shit with the GMOs and the spraying, and eat the poison and have your McDonald's. It's just like it really doesn't make sense. So the only option in my mind is not use social media, which is great. Don't watch the news, which is great. Thank goodness I have a little bit of property I can go outside and do some stuff with. And I do that big time. Too much. Need some rest. But there's trees around. They're nice and green. And it's just like there's something else you can kind of like pay attention to. It's called the natural world. And it's a lot more important, I think, than people realize. Taking the dog for a walk before work around the stupid park or something, like that's not enough anymore. There's a war. A spiritual fucking war. And I'm sorry, it comes down to nature or machines. And that seems to be what's happening. And if they want to destroy every blade of grass and everything in the world, well, this will become like a Mordor.
I don't think it will succeed. I don't think no civilization can succeed with this type of hubris. Yeah. Can they destroy the environment? Yes. There's a philosopher, Maurice Blanchot, that I studied a lot for about 25 years. And he wrote many books, many essays. In one of his essays, he was referring to the atomic bomb. And he was saying, with the power of the atomic bomb, today we can destroy the planet. But we cannot do nothing about the universe. So we should be more modest, meaning that you can destroy yourself, you can destroy everything around you, but the universe will still continue. So maybe you start to think before acting. This is where we are. We're lacking ethics. I refer always to the movie of Tarkovsky, Solaris. And in this movie, Tarkovsky is always showing that, technology always precedes ethics. But at one point you have to stop, and Tarkovsky explained his movie. He said, at one point you have to stop, you have to think, is it good for man? And if it is good for man, you can continue. If it is not, you have to step back, you have to change your path. Future is not determined. We can change it. We need the will. We need to work together. Listen to each other. I admit, I have a hard time with the last one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've realized throughout a lot, like I'm doing a meditation and for real, like I don't have a regular day job. I spend a lot of time on my land, like whatever. I cook and clean and do everything. My wife goes to work. She's a nurse. She earns enough money that we can do this for now. Things are changing. I'm going into the workforce soon. But anyway, at the moment, that's what it's like. So I'm contemplating this shit and listening to music and stuff too, and having a great time, actually. I'm reappreciating music a lot. And on a side note on that, I'm considering even producing a short documentary about a band that I love. And it's interesting things that have been going on with them lately. To juxtapose all this darkness that we're talking about all the time. Real art, music. Because we talk about these existentialists and their solution to all these goddamn problems is asceticism, art, music, poetry, whatever. Go out into nature. For real, not at the park. I'm on a rant. Sorry. What's my point?
Well, your point, I think your point is, kind of reconnecting with nature and
Yeah.
beauty. There's one thing, there's a book that I can recommend your viewers, The Dangers of Beauty from E. Michael Jones. It is a beautiful book. It is, first of all, it's the object is extraordinary. It is the history of art, literature, culture, music, through history. And he shows that beauty is dangerous because beauty calms the soul. It's very funny. We were talking about Peter Thiel last week from Palantir, and he's talking about the soul. And I want to say, poor man, you don't even believe in it. Why talk about it? Because he's inside of him. He's worried. Maybe the soul exists. Maybe I'm damaging my soul. Only beauty can can restore your soul, and they are afraid of this because they think that they can go forward in a dystopian future without even thinking about who were there, who were before us. And we always say that we are sitting on the heads of giants. We have a past history, invention by genius, great people who brought us what we have today. We have to be thankful to them. They are there. They're still there. And I think if you do a documentary, it's because you want to reconnect with beauty, art, music.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, these people are nuts. They would like to live forever, actually. I think that's the thing. And they don't care about the soul and good stuff. They don't care about anything. Fuck nature. Destroy it. Who cares if you can make money and get power from it? Who cares? Destroy anything. To get power, anything. Who cares? I'll destroy you, anything. That's what they think. It doesn't make sense. These are not sensible people. But to live forever, life extension technologies, no, that's something that they're very passionate about, I think. Maybe for another episode when we talk about the medical world.
Yeah, that's
Watch
that's
out.
a very, very big domain.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's the juicy center of the transhuman agenda. And today we're going to talk about robots. Maybe we'll slowly work our way there. No rush though to get out of the 6G and the bio nano world. I can't make sense of it, Andre. It's beyond me.
I cannot make sense. I understand the purpose,
Sure.
but metaphysically speaking, philosophically speaking, it's a contradiction. They cannot explain it rationally. You said it yourself. They are not rational. They are not rational. And every time you start to challenge them with rational discussion, I will not even talk about debate. They run away. They cannot sustain the contradiction.
Yeah. It's hard for them to maybe understand that what people maybe really need, and this is just my opinion, good, fresh, healthy food, good, healthy relationships, avoid toxic drink, smoke, and toxic relationships. Do the good, avoid the bad, and have some time to relax and develop some contemplative thought and not be worked to death for nothing. In Nova Scotia, Canada, you can work and they'll take 50% of your money in taxes.
Yes.
50%, almost. I mean, this is all bad. It's all bad. The government doesn't understand these basic things. The Canadian government is an anti-human establishment.
The government has become a religion.
Yeah.
And an oppressive religion.
Yeah, sure. So they want to create a digital twin of us, maybe. Have you heard of this shit? The digital twin? Personalized digital representations of individuals that integrate biophysical, biochemical, cognitive, and social data. So this is what the data centers are for. A bit of a fun theory of mine is that they look like gulags, concentration camps. Well, maybe that's exactly what they are for our digital twins. Wow, that's out there, I know, but this is out there stuff, man. Things are getting weirder and weirder. And I'm going to have a guy on my show on June 20th who does his own podcast. And his opening little video he plays for his show, it says things are going to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And eventually people are going to have to start to talk about how weird shit's getting. And I thought, I'm going to have that guy on the show. We're going to talk about how weird.
I will watch.
Oh my God. Yeah. We're going to get into, I'm going to have finally an opportunity to ask all the questions I want to ask of somebody who knows about these topics. The demons, the reptiles, the blood drinkers, the the fucking Sasquatch, God knows what aliens. I have questions about different things.
Maybe we'll have revelation.
Yeah, man.
Maybe we
Yeah.
are in an era of, like you're mentioning, your future guest, a weirder era. It's maybe we are in this already.
I wonder about that, because last time on our other show, the first episode, you said another thing that stuck with me a little bit, that being is what is lost, and somehow the being is going to come back. People are going to realize being again. I thought that was quite philosophical. Do you remember saying that at all?
I remember, and I always refer to Pierre Bezukhov, who was one character of War and Peace of Leo Tolstoy. And Bezukhov is an aristocrat, and he marries a beautiful woman, but he's not happy. And then he ends up, he's caught in the war between Alexander I and Napoleon, and he's caught and he's made prisoners. And they are about to execute him, shoot him in a fire squad. And he suddenly realized that you can kill me, you can torture me, you cannot do nothing to hurt my soul. And after that, he changed completely. So I think the being is, they can kill your body. Of course, nobody wants to die. It's not a question of suicidal thoughts, but we will all die one day. So I always refer to Tolstoy, because in this novel, he shows that if you have faith in something greater than you, it calms your soul. It calms your mind. Sleep better at night. Of course, if somebody arrives and torture you or hit you and you suffer or you become ill, you had a stroke and it was not easy. So it changed your perception of reality. I think when we have faith, it helps us facing those future. I will not say this future. I think there are many futures. It's up to us to choose.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up on the last show, but I took it out of my notes because I was thinking about Jordan Peterson, some of the things he says, which are not bad. People don't like him, and I don't. But some of the things he says is quite intelligent.
He's a very clever man.
He's brilliant. Let's put it that way, for sure. But what was about with the existential fear of death syndrome or something? I forget what that stuff's called exactly. But anyway, we're not going to get into that necessarily. But the fear of death, yeah, I think there's something here. And through faith or whatnot, people understand that the afterlife is a contemplative thing that comes along with the territory. That I will die, I will die, I will die. It becomes like a mantra in your mind. This is, I think, of any true spiritual path of any kind. I don't care what it is. You should be fucking embracing death with courage, because it's coming.
Exactly. Well,
and I fucking accept it. If you're afraid, okay, if everyone's afraid, absolutely everyone's afraid, of course. But you should understand it, I think.
This is very important. You mentioned courage, first of all. And many times we talk about the concept of nihilism. How do we react facing adversity or reality? It's only, I think, courage. You can see if you're a courageous man only when you are in the situation of expressing your courage. We don't know. Maybe I'm a coward. I don't know. I facing a real threat. How you will, because fear can change your behavior.
Yeah, people act out in the hospital a lot. I hear stories, and I've seen it myself. Working in that industry, my wife's a nurse, as I said. People who are bound up, they're tight with their little egos. They've lived a life of maybe posh on the mountaintop, rich, powerful, maybe some or whatever, or some poor person. Anybody. People live at all walks of society, at all levels of financial society. People are very fucked up, and they hold it secret. They don't deal with it. And then when they are in a medical situation in a hospital, people are telling them what to do. Okay, time to do this, do that. Then they're just like, fuck yeah, and they can freak out, scream and yell. And when death approaches, sometimes these certain types of people, they resist. They will not die. They hold on and say, no, I'm too scared. It's not happening. And my wife sees it, and she's a very spiritual woman. She sees it. And the people who accept it, they go more quick. But these people hang on and they fight. They fight and scream.
You remember we did a series of Buddhism and the state of meditation and the realm. I think your wife, when she sees this, she's able to compare. Me, I cannot, because we're never really in contact with suffering or death, unless when we getting old and we are facing something that is threatening your life. Suddenly you realize that tomorrow I'm not there anymore. All the things that I was planning next week, next month, or in the near future are gone, because I'm gone.
Yeah.
And we're never. I think in the modern world, technology erased death, except, and they renamed euthanasia, which I call murder. They renamed it medical assistance.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, come on, you change the vocabulary.
Oh man.
It's the same. It's the same event.
Yeah, death and dying. Oh my God, it's not a joke.
It's not a joke, but it's part of our life. And if we talk about it freely, without fear, we understand, and we get accustomed to the idea of aging, changing, leaving this world. Before you were born, we were not there, and after we will be dead, the world will continue. Hannah Arendt was saying, I think, I'm not sure if Hannah Arendt was believed in God, but she was saying in one of her books, the society is eternal, not mankind. And I said, okay, this is quite philosophical, because it's difficult to grasp, because we always refer to eternity as eternity of the soul, instead of saying what's the purpose of having a structure, a system that lives without us. Maybe robots is a dystopian future, but if the robots survive humanity, what will happen?
They will. Or we'll probably end up as half robot, half human for a while too, with real robots there.
Yes,
but those stupid real robots. They're not like
I'm already
10%
10% robot. I have a prosthesis for my hip, so.
Yeah, there you go.
I made joke many years ago about this. I wrote this in one of my essays. But yes, pacemaker. Now they're surgery is so advanced that they can save and cure people.
Mm-hmm.
And many discoveries that we don't know about. Many discoveries.
There's robots doing surgeries, even here in Canada.
Yes.
They've done dozens and dozens of surgeries out west somewhere with a robot with a scalpel. I'd be like, ugh.
You just pray, if you're on the operating table, you just pray that the programmer program correctly.
Yeah, I know, or no lightning strike comes. Yeah.
a glitch, a bug, a glitch in the software operation.
It becomes Frankenstein for real.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
But that robot, the idea of robot.
Oh man, they're coming. The
robots
are here.
Anthropomorphism.
Yeah, they're here. The robots are here. Oh yes, big time. And anthropomorphism of robots is a big kind of concept, and very sociological, anthropological, psychological, and philosophical. Wow, it cuts straight to the human soul. This stuff. And I mean, we could talk about people having sex with robots and the industry that is manufacturing them. I bet. I mean, it makes me kind of sick, because I did research into that too. And they also will sell you furry animals that you can have sex with. Robot Anubis. You know the god Anubis from Egypt? There's a furry one that you can buy and have sex with, and there's even one that's the size of a child. And I'm not even going to talk about sex dolls that are sold in Japan legally.
Yes.
Children, very young.
Yes,
babies.
I see this
for sex. So that's the darkest element of anthropomorphism. The other one is just seeing a robot with a very robot-y face blinking at you. That's also a very minor thing, that something's clicking with you, right? Anyway, what would you say about this topic? Clearly, I'm not great at it.
Well, I will try to be short and concise. The sex industry is there to appeal to the appetite of men. And if you cannot control yourself, if you cannot control your appetite, pornography, prostitution, whatever hardcore bondage. There's no limit to I would say to the hubris of man. If you study Sade, Marquis de Sade, or you study Leopold von Sacher-Masoch, you understand that there's no limit. The only limit is your own mind.
Mhm.
You decide when to stop. If you are addicted to porn, you will definitely migrate toward robots, because one day robots will look so real that you will be able to create fantasy for what? For pleasure? Okay, or an orgasm, you have pleasure. But then after that, we have those old movies in the 50s and 60s when the man is making love with his with the woman, and after that they smoke a cigarette, and you have, what was the most important thing was not the act, it was the conversation or the environment around it. If you create an environment with a robot that looks like a woman, the woman of your dream, I can create this. I tried AI a couple of years ago when it was starting. What's your favorite woman? And you start to describe, man. You can describe. Some people, they will describe for 1-2 paragraph. I describe for about 3 pages. I think the machine went completely mad because it could not create an ideal woman, because an ideal woman does not exist. The ideal woman is the woman you love. The ideal man for a woman, it's the man she loves. If you remove love from the equation, what do you have?
Yeah, you're right to point out the downward slope of mankind engaging in addiction of all sorts, and pornography and robots, and now AI. And speaking of cop body cam videos, another thing people are getting arrested for these days, like big SWAT teams show up and kick the door in if you're generating AI CP pornography. I don't even say child pornography. Oh my goodness.
Child pornography.
Can't even say the fucking word. It's disgusting. But yeah, they'll come after you and arrest you for that. Creating AI, that stuff. Oh my goodness. Like Google will tell the police and they'll come. This is weird. This is weird stuff, man. It's very
Well,
weird.
it's moral decay. When I refer to appetite, we are there. I don't. We are not virtuous. Nobody is virtuous. We all have something to think about. That's what the church calls it. Christianity calls it sin, bad behavior. Call it whatever you want, but you have to ask yourself why you're doing this. Sexual intercourse, since I would say 75 years in modern world, has become a commodity, and it is used to control people.
Yeah, I looked into the furries too, like the transgender groups. I mean, 75% of these furry animal people, they dress up as furry animals and they have conventions and stuff. 75% of them are roughly from the trans community statistically. And it is a sexual thing about 75% of the time. Some people like to dress up as little furry animals, goof around, have some fun. But they're all dressed with, like, bikinis bottoms with their furry head. It's just like, so bestiality is the level that this degeneracy, that the lack of an understanding of human biology, the natural world, natural impulses, and you mentioned Michael Jones. I've been actually listening to a podcast just last night. I noticed he was on one of my favorite podcasts I listened to as the guest. You always mention him, and I thought, well, I should check that dude out. I never read any of his books. Apparently, he wrote many books, and he's 78.
Yes, he did.
Is he 78 years old? That guy.
He's 77, I think, something like this.
Well, anyway, he was saying a lot of things. He's a really intense speaker, but he was saying the moral decay is just like, wow. The biggest problem maybe going on is some kind of like pornographic sexual degeneracy that was engineered with the founding of America or something. And
yes, exactly. And when you think of this, and I always refer to sexual intercourse. I've studied Leopold von Sacher-Masoch, masochism, for example. The fact that you want to be dominated. In a normal sexual relationship, you will always have somebody who will dominate, and you will have a person who will be dominated. It doesn't mean that you have to torture the person. The idea behind that is seduction. Let's say a woman starts to try to seduce you. She dominates you with her beauty, and you fall for it, and you make love with this woman. One day, you after a certain time or during the intercourse, you become more passionate. So the idea of domination is not it's a game played by two consenting adults. The danger is when you dominate somebody and you can control the person and impose behavior that the person doesn't want to do. Men or women toward children, for example, they talk about the children's sexuality. That does not exist. This is domination. You take a position of control to impose your will on somebody else, and children are vulnerable. So that's why we say we protect children until they are old enough to have a rational decision. And I'm sorry, it's not 14 years old. It doesn't. I don't say that it cannot happen, but usually we put the bar at 18, and we say at 18 years old you will have a consenting adult. Outside of that, I'm sorry, it is pitiful.
I was inviting this lady who writes books on this. Her name is Kathleen Richardson. She's a professor of ethics and culture of robots and AI at De Montfort University, I think in England. She's written many books on this topic. And her recent one is called Sex Robots, The End of Love. And it's very, it's very scholarly stuff in here, dude. We won't go deep into it, but the attachment crisis is something she looks at. Despite increased technological connectivity, loneliness is rising. And the book examines how sex robots fail to address the root causes of this isolation. And then there's stuff about property, slavery, domination of women. This is going to fucking mentally deteriorate people who can engage in this activity. It's disgusting. This is depraved on so many philosophical and spiritual and social levels. I'm sorry. It just is. Oh, we should all be free to just fuck robots if we want to. Yeah, go ahead. And just like maybe don't participate in society anymore because you're going to end up causing trouble. Okay. I've looked a lot into this topic because I do find it fascinating. And the things that she writes about are amazing. So one more thing. The author asserts that the creation of AI and robots is shaped by a disconnection from women, creating them as objects to be owned. Yeah, she points out how men and geeks are creating these big-breasted sluts in the laboratory. Women they want, but society doesn't want that. Neither do, and the politics of love is the last thing. I'm clearly passionate about this topic. I'm sorry, it makes me sick. The politics of love.
Can I ask you a question? You
Sure.
refer to this woman, and you refer to sex robot. Do we see man robot? Sexy man with a nice muscle and nice body, or we always see? It seems to me when I fall on those advertising clip, it's always a woman. Where do I'm sorry, I think about women. They should want to have a sex robot that is very nice, long brown hair with a nice body, not too muscular, but a kind look. The type of Pierce Bronson or something like this. Do we see this? We don't. I don't see it.
Oh my dude, it's nuts. But anyway, that's just one side of it, really, isn't it? The situation where someday maybe we'll go to work. And I'm in healthcare, and I'm going back to college soon to complete my degree. If I can stomach the fucking place, it's woke central. This college, anyway, and I'm in healthcare, so it's double woke. It's insane. Oh my god, Canada is ruined. What do you think's going? How are we going to wrap up? Want to bitch about Canada, Carney, his announcement like yesterday, AI for all, and I was like, what is wrong with you? What does he mean by anyway? It's a lot of questions.
They mean nothing.
That's a lot of questions, Andre. A lot of questions. Sorry.
I think they mean nothing. It's an agenda. They just implement the agenda, and they use very, very simple slogan to attract people, and it works. You refer to the end of love. the only thing we can do, first of all, I think we can slower the pace, engage with people, try to get away from the noise. In my last article that I will publish in a couple of days, the Quebec Ghetto, I say maybe you just disconnect, put it aside, try to go gardening, like you said, go walk your dog, try to reconnect with nature and human contact. It doesn't mean that there will not be an intrusion in your life, but if you try, maybe you will be more at peace. If something happens, you will be more rational to make a rational decision.
That's important. In the Buddhist philosophy, there's something about forget other people, change yourself, and you'll be of good service to them, because you'll be the calm
Yes.
one in the fucking room. And the Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Vietnamese Zen master who fled Vietnam because they hated him because of his anti-war activities, he made this great analogy that people were on boats trying to escape when that war was happening, the bombing of the Americans, Vietnam, and the boats would tip over because they were so full, because people were being fucking bombed with their grass huts. It's just insane. And he made this great analogy that if there's ever like a monk or somebody on board, people would calm down. It's a calming effect. So I thought that was interesting.
Well, the monk in his behavior would become a leader to calm people around.
Yeah, people would panic and on high seas in shitty boats, and they flip over because of the panic.
I had a conversation with a friend, Payman Scary, and he was asking me. He said, "What would be our strategy?" I said, "The strategy is kindness and trying to be inspiring other people." He said, "We don't have a leader." I said, "You are a leader. You, David, you are a leader. You lead in a way. I do the same thing. We can raise a lot of leaders, people who are more awake, more aware of what is happening. It doesn't mean that everybody will follow you.
Yeah,
people.
Working with other people is another element of this whole thing too. Like you can develop a good life, and God bless you if you do, and you find time for contemplation, and you can actually get some kind of life going in this world, where you can develop in spiritual enterprise and change yourself from within. Okay, let's get that far first, but then you have to deal with a post-human society in a very delicate way. Let's just put it that way. People are all fucking crazy, Andre. I mean, maybe I'm just in the wrong town. I don't know.
No, you're not. You're not, David. I think it's part of our era. I see it too. I'm in Quebec. We have friends in BC. I know people in Alberta, and I know people in France, in Europe. I know people in Russia. I don't know people in China. Maybe China, it's something quite different. But we all feel it. We all feel it. It doesn't mean that people recognize what is happening. This is an individual task.
Individual task. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to look more into that Kierkegaard thing that he talks about the individual. He's obsessed with, he's a big philosophical thing about individualism, which I want to learn more about that maybe for another time, because it's actually pretty fascinating. Because we talk about selflessness and, being altruistic and stuff, but he's like, take care of you, man. And then you'll be available to maybe do something else for someone else. Until then, you're useless.
Altruism, I have a small anecdote. Altruism, it's very nice on paper. And I remember when I moved here in this old house in 2008, I was alone, I was single, and I was traveling to go to Montreal every day to work. 2 hours and 20 minutes in the morning and 2 hours and 20 minutes at night, 5 days a week. So when I was arriving at Friday night in my house, even if nobody was coming to see me, I was writing all weekend, drinking, writing, staying alone with my cats. And Sunday night, usually at 9, 10 o'clock, I love humanity. It was like humanity's extraordinary view. Of course, you spend 48 hours alone in your cavern, in your cave. But then in the morning at 6 o'clock, when I was in the train, I wanted to kill somebody. So it's very easy to have altruism because you're in contact with people, they behave, and you start to be very angry. So it was funny because I told myself, you want to be altruism, you want to be altruist, think again. Think again. If you're in the middle of the crowd, maybe you will not really, you will not be as kind.
There's a fascinating aspect to this, what we're talking about right here, because sometimes the meditator, the calm man of whatever, can reflect negatively on others. Others will see some kind of reflection of their own selves in that person. That's also comes out of the Buddhist philosophy, but I don't think it's belongs there. Anybody can understand this, I think. That say you develop a meditative state of mind, you're very calm, maybe you're even walking a little slower than normal. Some things happen to you when you go into deep meditation of any kind. And then you feel available to others more than usual after deep meditation. A little bit. You're better with eye contact. You're better with listening. You're slowed down a little. Calm down. But the speed of people does not change. So sometimes they say, what the fuck is wrong with you today? Why are you acting like this? You're just staring at me and not saying anything. I used to go on deep. I used to go on deep month-long. Like I was on 4 months of meditation retreat once every day, many hours meditation. And when I went back to society, I learned a lot about how people perceive you when you are actually no threat at all.
Exactly. This is very important. When they don't feel a threat, at first maybe they will suspect you, but eventually you will have an influence on their mood.
Yeah.
If you're not a threat at all, maybe they will be curious because people are suspicious today. Everybody is a threat.
Yeah.
I drive. When I drive, I had a motorcycle, a speed bike many years ago, and I understood that if you don't drive for others, they will kill you. on a motorcycle, you go 170 kilometers per hour or something like this, and people drive very badly. So I start to develop what we call a sixth sense, and now that I drive for other people. I don't trust them at all, zero.
Yeah.
But it's about behavior, because in a society where you have kind people who care about each other, you would need trust.
Man, we drove through Quebec. It was scary once. We drove across. We drove all the way across.
I drove. I can tell you, I drove in Lebanon. Lebanon was quite stressful too.
Okay. Yeah, I drove around in Italy once. Man, that was nuts. Those people are insane. Worse than the French. Worse than the French with their hostility on the road.
Exactly.
People would drive up behind you, and everyone's in a BMW and honk the horn. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's like they just knew.
Well, Italy. In Italy, I drove in Italy. I went to Italy many times. I drove in Italy. Italy, the side mirror. It's an accessory for women. Italian, they never watch back. If they cut you, it's your problem.
Yeah.
So if you understand this, you understand that the car in front of you is a weapon. So you have to go around, and if he cuts you, it's your problem. And if you drive like this, you behave differently. In France, they all drive like monks, going to a pilgrimage. They show their intention, and it's very, very Cartesian. In Italy, forget about it.
Yeah, I actually said to my wife, because we spent 3 weeks in Switzerland and we drove over all around Switzerland. It was amazing. Small country. Wow, that was fucking amazing. Anyway, I said, let's go to Italy. And I was driving, and I got so anxiety riddled from driving around, and it was so hot. I said, we got to get out of Italy. And we left. It was like, we hung out a little for a few hours. But here's the thing about Italy. You also don't have breakfast. There's no bacon and eggs. they'll give you a tiny little sweet chocolate something maybe for your breakfast.
With an espresso, yes.
There's no breakfast establishments. There's no Denny's. There's no there's like no greasy place to get a breakfast when you're hungry from traveling the Swiss Alps all day. No, there's nothing until like midnight when they serve fucking spaghetti to everybody. It's like, as a Canadian, you're hungry. You want bacon and eggs. You want to have a big coffee. The coffee's this big also. It's 1 inch high, a tiny little cup. I thought, we got to get out of this country. Switzerland,
that's Europe. That's Europe. And when you go to Italy or France, I was many times in France and many times in Italy. You get used to the old world, the old way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back, the first time I went to Italy was 1994. I was practically 2 months in Rome. I came back. I was not the same man. That was over. And today I understand. It took me 30 years to understand why I changed so much without noticing it. And driving is a way also to.
Yeah.
It's funny. I would never. I went to Russia many times. I can guarantee you, I would not drive there. They're completely nuts. Completely nuts. You cannot say nothing. I've never seen something like this.
It's not too bad around here. There's a lot of old farmers and shitty trucks. Sometimes they're slow, and I live on old country roads, and there's a freeway nearby. It's tourist seasons now, so things are crazy now because no one knows how to drive. Everyone's from Ontario and they don't know how to drive already.
3 weeks ago, we had a conference in Rougemont, Quebec, South Shore of Montreal, on the social credit of C.H. Douglas, and I met a very fine gentleman. His name is Ed Warwick. So I salute him. Maybe you will watch. And he gave a speech about social credit. Mr. Warwick is 79 years old. He had the old 1978 Buick Skylark, and he drove from Halifax to Rougemont. Very fine gentleman. We had a very great conversation. And he was saying, my children are saying that I'm insane. I should not drive and blah, blah, blah. And he said, my general practitioner said, Ed, continue. So he drove from Halifax to Rougemont. I don't know how much.
20 hours driving.
20 maybe. Hours and a very beautiful Skylark 1978.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very funny man. So he's driving. He's 78 years old. Very healthy man. So it is possible.
Sure.
It is possible.
Yeah. Some people just keep going and going. Anyway.
Well, driving, I love driving. Like I said, I had a motorcycle and I drove in France and Italy. I remember I rented a sports car in France. France roads are beautiful. Forget about the highway. And I tell my wife, she says, in Quebec, I said, I hate driving. She said, why? I said, this is not driving. It's a war zone. Not only because of the road, because you have weapons everywhere around you. You cannot even enjoy the landscape. Somebody wants to kill you on the road here. So yeah, I don't like driving. I don't like driving here.
We drove from Victoria, BC, where I was living. I'm not from there, but that's where I met my wife. We drove literally from coast all the way through. And then Quebec, I remember being absolutely hair-raising. Just those highways through there. Yeah, but it was very hot too, and our air conditioner was broken. So the whole process was very difficult. But anyway,
yes.
Yeah. But yeah. What else? I think that's how we're going to wrap up our show today. We talked about this transhuman agenda and other sundry items related to it. Shitty drivers. Here's the thing about Switzerland. Hey, speaking of other countries, Switzerland is pristine. There's not a crack in the pavement. There's not a cigarette butt anywhere except on the train lines. Everyone makes a specific few steps to make sure that thing goes in the train. So lots of butts in there. No homeless people. It was quite something. Shockingly beautiful, but it's a totalitarian society, and they've had MAID for like 50 years. And there's Swiss people who live near me, and they said they're already signed up for it, and they're not even sick. So the normalization of euthanasia, maybe this will bring us back into transhumanism, because that's going to come up later.
Mm-hmm.
Death and entering machines and all this other garbage. But anyway, that's Switzerland.
So what you're saying about Switzerland does not surprise me, and it interests me because I suspected that. I've met many people from Switzerland, and they always talk about their country, blah blah blah, neutral country. And I want to say, first of all, you don't have such thing as a neutral country. You host all the international banking system. So of course, nobody will attack you because all the money is there. And the other thing is, like you said, compliance. Everything is beautiful because everybody comply. It's not even behaving; it's compliance.
Yeah, when I was there, my girlfriend at the time said, "Let's close the curtains because people just stare. They'll see you, and then this neighborhood, and they'll need to know, and they will find out, and they'll watch you and stuff. Like people are very. It's a little bit of a dystopia over there. It's a giant 15-minute city. It almost is. We drove the whole country.
Yes, it's
in one day.
very small. Yes.
Yeah. And all the money in
city.
15-hour drive city. All the gold in the world is there. That's why no one's attacking them.
Yes.
But apparently the Germans tried to provoke them into World War II, and because apparently Hitler said we'll get them on the way back from Leningrad. And Switzerland is the prickly pig, that's what he calls it. And it's even the shape of a pig, and wild pigs are rampant there. They hurt people. So interesting stuff about Switzerland I learned. But driving through the valleys of Switzerland, cannons pointing everywhere. That's why the Nazis didn't go there. Although the conspiracy theories would say that's where the gold is. That's why they didn't fucking go there. Switzerland was involved, financing all this shit through the Rothschilds and everything else.
Most probably, yes. And don't forget that Davos is the center of the World Economic Forum.
Exactly.
We're not. Everything is in plain sight. We can see it. Many people, they don't have the time. Now you say your wife is working, you're doing podcasts, you're working in the garden. You have the time to be offset of the ordinary worker. You have the time to research. You have the time to think. You have the time to prepare. I think there's a lot of people who don't have this time. Maybe our duty is to bring those topics in a funny way, humorously, and not being too dramatic all the time.
Yeah, satire is important. And something about postmodernism that I do like is irony.
Irony
makes me laugh.
But you mentioned Baudrillard many times. You mentioned how many writers they use irony to promote an idea.
Yeah, let's wrap up on this final thought. Maybe that the fourth industrial revolution was just a stupid idea by some bald asshole in Davos named Klaus Schwab once upon a time, just a few short years ago. We've covered data centers. Look at them, people. This is actually now real, the fourth industrial revolution. People are fucking robots all around. This is not good. So it's a revolution. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to grind up people big time. And we have to fight against it. I see it as a war in some sense, a spiritual war. And thank God I have time to contemplate because then I can fight it. But it's going to drag me in. Like, oh my God, it's hard to not be dragged in. But leaving social media was a good step. Good step for me, definitely, mentally. Well, yeah. Well, I don't even give a shit what's going on social media, and that's a good feeling. It's like being a recovered addict. Who cares?
It is.
Yeah. Anyway, final thought there, I guess. It's fourth industrial revolution. It's on, buddy. It's on, isn't it?
Maybe we'll talk further this summer about the effect on people.
Will. There's 3 or 4 more episodes coming. One on a little bit politics, one a little bit medicine, medical stuff. Definitely psychology. We got to get Limina over here for this one. I've invited other people, trying to bring other people into this. There's going to be a transgender kind of dive into some of this stuff, probably, because that's part of the agenda too. Sorry if that hurts anyone's feelings. Don't care. It is. Yeah, stuff like that. And a final wrap-up episode where I want to talk about like Jesus, the Buddha. Who the fuck is going to give us wisdom to deal with this?
The Messiah, the idea of Messiah, the idea of prophet. Yeah.
Eschatology. When is he coming?
That's maybe a very good last episode.
That's going to be the last episode. Either they say come hell or high water. Something's got to change here because humans, we need help. Fact. And that's my opinion. My opinion is that it's a fact.
Well,
humans need help.
I will end on that. Help yourself and God will help you.
All right. On that note, I wish everybody a great day. And until next time, hopefully next Sunday, as long as somebody comes with me, we're going forward. I'm inviting lots of people. Next week, part 3 of the grand meditation on transhumanism. Until next time, see you later.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Bye-bye. Oops, 1 second. I'm still here, haha. I clicked leave the studio, not end the stream. End stream. Okay, here we go.